Welcome to another edition of Cambridge Inside Out. My name is Robert Winters.
And I'm Judy Nathans.
Well, hey, Judy.
How are you?
I'm doing just fine. And for those of you who are watching this 6 years from now, today is April 26th, the year of our Lord, 2016.
Lord.
Well, you know, it's very,
All right, okay, whatever.
very old-fashioned.
All right.
Let's see. I thought maybe we start off tonight with just a little touching
Update.
upon the big world, the wider world.
Oh, the wider world is
outside of
quite
Cambridge.
amazing. Yeah, it's primary day for 5 big states. They're all kind of around here, except for Delaware.
That's right.
It's sort of mid-Atlantic, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Pennsylvania. So it's mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So
what are the big states?
there.
again?
Let's see. We got Delaware, where you can
it
open
is.
any corporation and get any credit card, whatever.
Yeah.
You have Pennsylvania, which is a very interesting state. That's a swing state, I think.
And that's where the lion's share of the delegates
Yes.
available for today is.
Exactly. And then you have Connecticut,
Yep.
which I think is a closed primary, excuse me. And then Rhode Island, which is open, one of the only ones that's open, meaning you can go in unaffiliated and vote either Republican or Democrat without having changed your party first,
Okay.
which is
So
good.
everybody's gaming that system.
Well, it just makes, I think it makes it easier.
It makes it easier,
Massachusetts is like that.
No.
You can be an independent
if
and
you-
go in and take a Republican ballot.
If you're unenrolled, then you can.
That,
pick
well,
your party.
independent, unenrolled, right?
Yeah,
People
yeah.
get confused. And what's the 5th state I'm missing? Connecticut,
Let's see,
Rhode
Connecticut,
Island?
Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island.
Oh, I made them all.
That's a
Okay,
fiver.
all right.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, things are starting to get a little. I thought I saw some announcement today
Yeah.
that Bernie Sanders says he will continue his campaign all the way to
saw
the
that.
convention, but he will be reevaluating.
After the race, except
After
if
the
you ask
Tuesday.
his campaign advisor, Jeff Weaver, who's like a real, seeing him, he wants an open, contested convention? One of those
like an
things?
open convention
Yeah.
or a
Right.
brokered convention.
Right,
or whatever.
and now they're sort of depending on the superdelegates, which is which is funny because in the beginning of this, they said they were awful and shouldn't be around. Now
Now
they're
they're
counting
saying
on
how
them to switch their votes. Meanwhile, I heard a figure that Hillary had 2 million something votes ahead of
in popular vote.
the
Yeah.
popular votes ahead of him.
Yeah,
or
so
something like that.
it's kind
So
of hard to
crazy.
do estimates on that because in states where they do caucusing,
A
you
vote's
know,
a vote, though.
a vote's a vote, right? But the thing
In
is,
terms of popular votes.
yeah. But,
Forget the delegate math, because every state has different. Just because you get certain number of delegates doesn't mean they're for you. It's so confused. Each state has their own rules. So.
yeah. And I think actually probably on the Republican side, one of the more ridiculous.
We should talk about them. I'm sorry. We live in Cambridge. We know,
Yeah,
whatever.
Republicans, wait, what are they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's good ones, and then there's the guys. These guys.
These guys, yeah, the worst field of candidates ever fielded by
Oh
the
my
Republican
God.
Party.
Yeah, really.
But now it's like Cruz and Kasich are
trying to.
They're going to coordinate their campaigns so that I'm not going to campaign in this state. and you
right?
don't do-
So you'll take this state. I'll take this state, and somehow we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just think from a point of view of from a person who knows a thing or two about elections and
Yes,
election
you do.
systems, that elections should go down to candidates colluding for
Right.
who should step out so as to
Yeah.
make sure that that guy doesn't
Right.
do this. I mean, what is
Yeah.
this? It's like cheating at cards.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably stuff that goes behind the scenes like that, but you
They
don't
have
do
no
it out.
But they have no choice in
I
a
know,
way, you know.
I
It's
know, I know.
the problem is the way elections are structured is wrong. I mean,
Yes.
you know, Americans sometimes are really they're so much worse than Europeans in some ways, and they say, well, he got the most votes, so therefore he should win, and
Yeah.
they don't think about any of the subtleties of the way elections systems themselves end up
Right.
determining the winners rather than the voters.
Well, that's
And-
true because you have the electoral college. You have different if delegates are represented or chosen. You're talking about all that stuff.
Yeah,
not just the voting.
I like to speculate what would have
Yeah.
happened if, in fact, the
Yeah.
Republican, and I'm not suggesting this is the best system,
Yeah.
but if, let's say, the Republican or any of the parties' nominees
Yeah.
were done with one giganto primary on Super Duper Tuesday in
One. Yeah.
and where everybody runs. And then they do ranked choice voting and a series of runoff leading to the top two who then,
Don't they do
and then-
that in Europe? Isn't there some
It's
kind
much
of
more common in Europe that they'll
Yeah.
reduce down to top two and then they'll go head to head, or else you could even just do an instant runoff and select the nominee,
Right.
or at least select. You
Seems
could
to
do
me
some
that
kind of
would
a
be
system that would be
better,
better.
and it would be less money,
Well,
and there should also be less time.
I mean, I don't
to
think
this.
Donald Trump would be even close to ahead if we were doing it
Good
that
point,
way.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
anyway, if you ever want to see a fine example of how the
Yeah.
election system itself is basically doing the choosing and not even the voters, this is the perfect case study of it.
Except what would you, so in terms of Trump, because the Republicans
And the
say it's a
Republicans say-
winner-take-all thing rather
Because
than
of the-
proportion,
yes.
he
It's a-
looks like he has a lot more
It's a combination
support
of
than
winner
he
take
does.
all with what for
Right.
most of the time was far too many candidates.
Oh, right, I
Splitting
forgot
the vote
there was like
royally.
17,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you split
Yeah.
the votes royally.
Right.
And just in time to sort of declare, to establish who the top contenders
Right.
were. At this point, the game is already set.
Right.
It's-
And you're right, if you go, what you had said, if it had been ranked, those people would be out.
Yeah,
And it would narrow
yeah.
it down, and then it's a little more reasonable.
Yeah.
Now everyone gets a little bit of a vote. Then what happens to those? They still have those little votes, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. Now, I think the Democrats did it a lot better in that they have
Yeah,
relatively proportional
Right.
allocations.
Plus they have the
delegates.
super
And
delegates,
the
which the
superdelegates.
Republicans don't have, which they wish
Yep.
they did have.
Yeah, now they do. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why they instituted that.
I know.
So, anyway, it's an interesting
So
process.
stay tuned. That'll be after 9 o'clock tonight, I guess, because I think all those states are in our
Yeah.
time zone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or maybe some go till 9, but
right. It was interesting to see that the Clinton campaign is now floating. Always a dangerous thing to do, but
What?
sort of
Floating?
floating the
What?
discussion of possible vice presidential candidates.
oh yeah,
Or vice presidential choices.
right.
So there was a big thing in the New York Times where they floated, I forget exactly
was
how many
it, yeah.
names, like 15 or 20 names. And I tell you, one person who I said a long time ago, you watch, this guy's going to be back, was DeVal Patrick.
Oh, no.
He's listed.
No.
He's listed as a
way.
possibility.
No.
Well, we'll
I'm
see.
sorry. That would really, no, Hillary, please. Listening to me, no.
Right. But immediately, he puts him back in the
Yeah.
news.
Right.
There are, of course, those who say, well, you've got to get Elizabeth Warren in there.
Oh, no,
because-
no. First of all, two women, I'm sorry, it'll never fly.
No, I think this
and
is-
she is, no, it'd be too left to center, nope.
I think there's some who think that if it's Clinton versus Trump, it's a slam dunk win for Clinton. I don't agree with that. I think that's the probable outcome, but I don't think anybody should take any of that for granted.
No, not at all. It would be very close, but let me tell you something.
you have
I
to pick
feel
your
it
vice
deep
president
inside
strategically.
as a woman. Women will. What was that play that the Chirac was? Lysis. I can never pronounce it. The Shakespearean, no, the Greek tragedy about the women that withheld sex to get peace on the earth. Well, whatever. Women will rise up.
So I can see the State of the Union address from Hillary
Yes.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Here's my message to the women of the world.
No, State of the Union, that means afterwards. That means
Right.
she's won. But I'm just,
Yeah,
I think there will be a real emergence of women in the. I mean, you have Beyonce supporting. You have Katy
Yeah.
Perry. You have like. The
I just
young
think it sends
Hispanic
exactly the
woman,
right
you know?
message to the rest of the world
Yeah.
that the most powerful country militarily and economically
Mm-hmm.
will be led by women. Any countries who feel that women should be treated as second-class citizens,
Yeah.
hey, take a look, right? That's a bit.
Although
the best
there
possible
are
message.
other countries that are ahead of us.
They're way ahead of us.
I mean,
It's true.
Germany.
I know,
you know,
but for those
you
who
know.
are not,
I
this
know.
sends a good message.
Look, whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to say South America has a lot of them. Although some are being
I
indicted, I
will.
think.
The one is in process of being impeached
Right,
in
yes,
Brazil,
anyway.
right?
Well, we
Yeah.
all can make a mistake. Let us make a mistake.
Absolutely.
You know?
I'm all for
All
that.
right. Okay.
So
What's next?
there's lots of interesting things going
Okay.
on around town. Springtime's actually a pretty hopping time in terms of
Yeah.
civic and political things. I think sometimes maybe it's kind of a holdover tradition of the days when everybody correctly or incorrectly presumed that everyone in Cambridge headed off in the summer to their house on the Cape.
Oh my goodness.
Which I always thought, so we're all upper class.
Or
I
in
don't
the
think that-
vineyard.
I don't think that was ever true.
Nantucket.
Right. So the thing is, there's a lot of activity in the spring months, especially April, May, and then things just sort of die down till September. So it's a lot of the festivals, everything sort of happens.
Well, the weather's nicer.
Yeah, and definitely the spring helps, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the things as something that began, I'm not sure how many years ago, somebody got the bright idea that it was a great idea to have awards for outstanding city employees. And it's actually it's a great little ceremony to go to.
Yeah.
I think it was last year. Stuart Dash from Community Development Department was one of the award winners, and he brought his guitar
Oh, wow.
and he sang a song in appreciation.
Oh, that's nice.
It was great, actually.
That is nice.
Yeah.
So you want to show that on the
Yeah,
list
if
here?
we have that here, we can.
Yeah, I
actually
have it.
pop that
It's already
here.
up.
All right,
Yeah.
let's see if we can, if I remember how to
There
do
we go.
this. There we
Is
go.
it showing up there?
Should
You have
be.
to move it over a
Should
little
be.
bit.
Well, maybe it shows. I think what we see here is not necessarily what they
Okay.
see there.
All right.
So anyway, the award winner, I'm just going to rattle them off, maybe say a word or two about just a few select people. One is Sandy Albana, who has been basically the boss of the city council office for as long as I can remember.
Is that a woman or man? I'm not very
Alessandra,
ignorant.
yep.
Well, I can't tell. Is that a man's name? Or
It's a woman's name,
Woman.
yeah.
Okay, Alessandra. Sorry.
And Sandy's been running the show there. You know, she's like the den mother and all, basically boss of the show. And everybody.
Been there a while?
Oh, she actually came working through the city back, I believe, when Al Vellucci was mayor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's
so she
a long time.
goes back a long
Yeah.
ways. And she's technically the executive assistant to the city council. Pretty much manages the whole city council office, and she's the boss, really. And I think everybody loves Sandy. Is Kia Benjamin, executive assistant to the police commissioner.
Okay, that's
actually don't
right
know that
here.
person. Stacy Cooper, administrative assistant to the finance director in finance department. My good buddy, Brian Kaur,
Oh, of course, yes.
who's the executive director for the Peace Commission, as well as the executive secretary of the Police Review and Advisory Board.
Oh.
Actually, we can talk a little bit about the budget. I want to say a couple
Oh, the
things
budget, yeah,
about
that's a big
some
item.
interesting consolidation of commissions
Okay.
that I noticed. There's Leanne Ellis, Division Head of Child Care, Family Services for the Department of Human Services Programs. Joshua Foley, Senior Job Developer, Department of Human Services Programs. Gary Littles, a laborer in the Streets Cleaning Division of the Department of Public Works. And another good buddy, Tim McDonald, who I have now known for, I believe, 30 years.
You have a lot of
Can you believe
connections
it?
to the water department.
Yes, well, I kind of got my start with water and sewer
Oh, right,
in terms
that's
of my
right.
civic
Remember that
activism.
story, yeah.
So Tim is director of water operations for the water
Okay.
department, and when I served on when Al Vellucci appointed me
My
to the
goodness.
water and sewer advisory committee back in the 86 or 87.
Oh, my goodness.
Tim was relatively new to the
30
water
years
department.
ago.
He's been there, and Tim's been great.
You were very young.
Oh, I'm still
Oh.
very young. No, I'm not. Anyway, that's Tim, and
All
so
right.
he's one of the winners. Linda Prosnitz's project planning in the Housing Division of Community Development Department. Jerry Reardon, the fire chief, fire department. I'll just say something
been
about
there a
Jerry.
while, yeah.
He's been there a while, but people I know in Massport, he's actually well known throughout the state. He is so incredibly respected elsewhere, for running
Yeah.
just a top-notch fire division and really having some of the best expertise in terms of firefighting and just how to run a fire department that compared to anywhere. We have, hazmat teams. We are like top ranked, and Jerry deserves a lot of credit. As Brendan Roy, Assistant Project Manager, Capital Construction Projects, working out of the manager's office. Nancy Schlachter, Executive Director for the Human Rights Commission. She's actually performed quite a few roles in conjunction with the manager's office over the years. Jeremy Warnick, Director of Communications and Media for the Police Department. Amy Witz, the purchasing agent for the purchasing department. She, by the way, is also a very fundamental player right now in terms of the city manager search, because ultimately it is a hiring process. You have to go through bidding rules and all of those things.
Wow.
So the purchasing agent is actually very, very closely involved in that. There's Jason Yee, the associate librarian for the library.
Okay.
And there will also be an award that they've done now since last year, or maybe it's the third year, in honor of Brian Murphy. It's pretty much sort of the people, almost like the People's Choice Award for that Ona Reardon.
So they won't
was
tell
one of
you
the
who that
winners.
is going to be yet.
That's announced actually
there.
at the meeting.
I see.
Yeah.
Which is on Friday, May 6th at 9:30 a.m. in
Yeah.
the Sullivan Chamber.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people from the city employees go there, but it's definitely open to the public.
Okay.
So, that's a great thing. Actually,
Yeah.
also coming up in May, the Public Works Department puts together kind of a nice little fest for all the
Yeah.
employees and a lot of city employees come to that fest. It's a barbecue too, by the way.
You're talking about the one at
Public Works, yeah.
That's
yeah.
a separate thing.
That's a separate thing. Oh, yeah, yeah. But I think that
Do you have a
happens
date
about a
for
week
that
later.
yet?
No, probably it's usually about mid-May.
It's usually during that week when they show trucks and things.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. A great thing
We'll
coming up
announce
here.
that next time.
So anyway, that's the Outstanding City Employee Award recipients, right? You know, and anyway, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good.
So, another thing that, I mean, there was the appointments to the Envision Cambridge Advisory Committee.
Right.
Some of us got our letters saying we were appointed several
You're on
weeks back.
the main committee there?
Yeah, I guess there's sort of
It's called an advisory?
Yeah, there's sort of the overarching
Right.
Envision Cambridge Advisory Committee. There are 18 appointees. I'm grateful to be one of them.
Did you want to show that or just?
Maybe we could show a little bit of
Yeah,
that here.
got that
all
up
right,
on-
just some of the folks.
Yeah.
Again, I won't necessarily run through all of the names
Right.
here, but I have
But
this.
there's different committees, I noticed. There's
There's the Envision Cambridge Advisory
it
Committee.
seems like a general,
And there are 18 people appointed to that.
okay.
There's the Envision Alewife Working Group, which will be starting
Specifically around
early.
Alewife?
Yeah, that's kind of an upfront
Okay.
committee for looking at some planning and envisioning for that area of the city.
And then
There's the Engagement and Communications Working Group.
yes,
I'm not quite sure exactly what roles everyone's going to play in all of this here, but there were, as I say, there were 18 on the regular advisory committee, 16 appointed to the Alewife Working Group, and 12 for the, oh, actually 14, and then 12 for the Engagement and Communications Working Group. Yeah, just speaking of the one that I'm on, there's, I mean, I know a number of the people who are on there,
Yeah.
but in particular, I was kind of pleased to see, if I'm not mistaken, Ruth
see.
Allen may be affiliated
Allen.
with Patty's.
Oh,
Patty's Lunch.
really?
Ruth Riles has been very active with the Porter Square Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
Tom Senowitz
He
is on
was
the planning board.
Okay,
And I was kind of pleased to see him. I know Tom because his
Yeah.
wife Martha Edison was on the Green Ribbon Open Space
Oh.
Committee, and I got to know Martha real well when I served on that back in '99, 2000
Wow.
period. So now I get to serve on a committee with Martha's husband.
nice.
Which is nice. And there's Tom Stolman, who's been he's been
Yeah.
in city council a few times. He's managed.
You mean as city council candidate?
Excuse me, city council candidate.
Is he an architect?
He is an architect, MIT alum,
Right.
and and a friend. So nice to see him. There's Josh Gerber, who I believe is affiliated with the 1369 Coffee House.
I know this woman, Zainab Magavi. I know
Yeah.
she used to be my neighbor on Putnam, and
Oh.
she and her family moved to North Cambridge, so
Yeah.
not sure what, but she's on there.
Yeah, there's also Joe McGuire who I believe is affiliated with Alexandria. So ultimately,
Okay.
what you should
So
have
it's a really
here is
mixed group
It
here,
has to be a mix of people who are
citizens and,
part of the development community,
stakeholders, okay.
resident people, people representing, I mean, it was a tricky appointment process
Yeah.
because you want to get the appropriate representation from different points of view, but you don't
Sure.
necessarily want to have people who are
Right.
going to start getting into fist fights.
Exactly.
So, I think I think was a part of the what was involved in making these decisions.
okay, you know anybody on the working group? I mean, some names
the
pop
Alewife
out.
Working Group, certainly Margaret Drury, former
Sure,
city
she was
clerk,
former,
and,
and rent control.
at one time, she
Yeah.
was the administrator for the Rent Control Board, but
Right.
now she's on the Cambridge Redevelopment Authority, which is a
Right.
planning agency, so that's
Okay.
a pretty appropriate choice. I know John DiGiovanni, he's with Trinity Properties, who owns a lot of property in Harvard Square. I know a few of the other people like Eric Grunbaum and Doug Brown, but and I believe Catherine Connolly, if I'm not mistaken, is also on the planning board.
Okay.
I hope I got that right. Connolly is unfortunately a familiar enough name that I could mess
Right.
that one up.
Right,
And then there's a few other names with the Engagement and Communications
Right.
Working Group, including Kathy Zuzi, who's
she's very active in the
very active with
Report,
Cambridge
yeah.
Report,
She's very
Magazine
smart,
Beach,
yeah.
real
Elaine
sharp and really
yes,
great person.
I
Elaine
like her.
DeRosa with CFC.
I know, long time. Phyllis
Breatholtz,
Breatholtz.
Sarah
Yeah.
Kennedy, who's with the Chamber.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty
Yeah,
good
great.
group of folks there.
Nice.
So, well done. I have to say, I'm a little excited. I'm
Yeah.
kind of looking forward to getting
Are
into
there any
this.
scheduled meetings yet?
They haven't put out a schedule yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, they won't schedule it for Thursday nights when I'm teaching. But even
Did you mention
I
that?
certainly did.
Good.
But my Thursday night commitment actually winds down for the spring.
So it's
In
probably
a
will
couple
be
weeks,
fine.
so we'll see how it works. But I'm kind of looking forward to getting
Yeah.
into this.
Yeah.
The need for master plans, I was
Yeah.
a little skeptical about it, but if we're doing this, I really
Yes.
did want to be part of this, and so I'm personally pretty thrilled to
Good.
get an opportunity to do so. So maybe that's a few things going on here. One other thing, I don't know exactly what it all meant, but I know there was an announcement, press release, as well as an announcement at the Cambridge City Council meeting last night about Cambridge being awarded a prestigious 5-star community rating.
What does that mean?
Well, it's sort of like there's like this LEED certification, and
Yeah.
these private entities that do certification and rankings and ratings. So this organization, Star Communities, is a
Is it national?
nonprofit.
Is it
It's-
a national?
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
so what they do is they have kind of a weighting process and a ranking process they do for cities, and so I think Cambridge is now one of, what was it, about 5
Said we became the 50th certified community.
certified community. We got like the highest rating.
Wow.
But not only did we get the highest rating possible, and there were
Yeah.
several communities that did, but we had the highest score ever recorded.
Wow. I wonder what it was based on.
I'm sure it's many, many factors, but it's sort of just quality of the way a city is
Said we
organized.
joined Baltimore, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And Seattle, I could see, but Baltimore, you don't think of it as being a 5-star.
No.
But I'm wondering what they're rating. I mean,
Yeah,
it's great,
a lot of
because
it's in the
Baltimore is a
weights.
lot more. I just heard a thing by David Simon, so.
Yeah, and one thing Richie Rossi mentioned at the city council meeting last night is that the going for this star rating was something that was very much prioritized and initiated by Brian Murphy.
Yeah, I was wondering
was
how
on the
that
city.
even got into the,
Yeah.
okay.
So
that's nice.
So good for us.
Yeah.
Yay!
And if you want to read more about it, you can go to Robert's site.
Yeah, we've got the press release and a few other little notes.
Right.
I'll probably
It's
add a
probably
few
also
other
on the
notes.
city website, no?
Oh yeah, because the city it was a big
Yeah.
hullabaloo, so it's
Okay.
definitely
All right.
posted on the city website.
Yep.
To be sure. So maybe what we should do is we could transition a little bit. Actually, let me say one quick thing
Yeah.
on a couple of vacancies of boards and commissions.
Still, because you've been announcing that for a while.
Yes.
Vacancies.
And then we'll spend the second half hour maybe
On
talk
the
about
budget.
some of the budget in the
Yeah.
city council meeting and
Yeah.
some others. So there's there's a new, well, there's at least one other commission, I'm not going to go into that, but the Kids Council, which is now formally to be called the Cambridge Family Policy Council, formerly known as the Kids Council.
Okay.
Right, Executive Director is Nancy Tauber. That's
okay.
a former school committee member.
Yes.
So they're looking for, they have a vacancy, at least a
Okay.
vacancy. Oftentimes, because it's a very large group, they may have multiple vacancies.
It's a large, that come together?
There are quite a few people on the Kids Council.
Oh.
Some of them are sort of statutory, the city manager.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Police commissioner, people representing this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of just ordinary
Okay,
citizens
so they
as
have
well.
openings?
Yeah, so they have at least a vacancy. I don't know how many vacancies,
Okay.
but the deadline for applying for that is May 20th, so there's plenty of time. But if it's something that
So-
appeals to you,
Yeah, go again, the city website would have those. as
they have
well
the
as your
information,
site,
and I
yeah.
certainly have it as well.
Right.
And then there
Okay.
was a press release came out today that they have a vacancy on the Fresh Pond Advisory Board.
Oh,
So if that's you don't have to live near Fresh Pond to want to be on the Fresh Pond Advisory Board.
Right.
I
Probably
mean, it's
helps.
really the whole reservation is really
belongs
for
to everybody,
everybody.
yes.
So,
Right.
but that's a May 23rd deadline. So
Okay.
if that's something that is
get
of
involved. Lots of
Yeah,
ways
do
to be
that.
involved in this city, so
I-
just show your civic pride.
interest, show you civic pride. I mean, I always feel like I'm a bit of a booster for
Yeah.
boards and commissions saying get involved.
Because you can. I think it's important.
I think there
you
was
know?
a Harvard Crimson reporter gave a phone interview to me, maybe it was on Friday or something.
Oh, yeah?
And I have to say, when I do Cambridge Civic Journal, he said, how do you describe it? I said, it's sort of like a user's guide to be a citizen,
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's like, how do you be a citizen?
That would be your tagline.
That would be the
User's
tagline.
guide on, say it again?
It's a user's guide to being a
To
citizen
being
in
a
Cambridge.
citizen in
Yeah.
Cambridge, okay.
Yeah,
Are you
citizen
going to be
in-
in an article in the Crimson?
It was actually in on Monday.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that once a week?
Well, I mean, it was an article about just
Online or
generally-
in print? Or
This was in print and both. It was also online as
Okay,
well.
I'll have to look for it.
It was, pretty much just sort of about local media. So I think it was Mark Levy and his Cambridge
Sure,
Day.
Cambridge
There
Day,
was
and
Cambridge
you.
Chronicle
What about here?
and
Neighborhood Media?
and me. And I think there was some references, I think, the CCTV, but certainly
Hope so.
this program was listed. in
Oh,
there as
okay,
well,
but
so.
neighborhoodmedia.net.
Right, yeah, that's, well, we should, I
website.
think, but the thing is, a lot of times this is,
Yeah.
it's really depends upon what the universe of experience of the particular reporter is.
I know,
So
but
if-
they should be doing their job as a
Well,
reporter and
they do
getting
the
the
job,
facts.
but
Okay.
I
All right.
mean, in retrospect, I should have mentioned some of these things, but he was calling because he wanted to find.
Wasn't your
about
job to
my
mention
thing.
that.
I know, but but actually, it is one of our jobs to educate reporters.
Well, good point. Okay.
I think
right.
it's the only way it
I'll
happens.
go look for it, and if there's a comment section or if there's his name, I will send it to you.
Okay.
How about that?
That's
a good
that's
thing to
good.
do.
That's
Okay.
very, very good. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So anyway, that's sort of the bulk of that.
Okay,
you know.
so I think the next segment, which we're not quite ready to go to, but
Yeah,
we'll spend
we'll at
on
least
the,
give a
they
little-
presented the budget at last night?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, one of the things that's really true
Yeah.
about a city manager form of government, there's a real regularity to everything. There's a predictability about
Mm. Right.
budgets, and you sort of know when the budget process starts and when the budget actually comes to the
Right.
council.
Right.
I think it's much more so than in some other kinds of forms
Hmm.
of government. But I think what's most regular is the predictability of the budgets themselves.
You mean what?
Yeah, I
they're gonna be?
mean, well, I mean, and I actually made a note of this on Civic Journal
Uh-huh.
the other day, that sometimes in cities with a strong mayor, if you elect the mayor, he promises, I'm going to do this, and then suddenly
Oh, I read that on your-
certain
yeah.
departments get these skyrocketing
Right.
budgets, and then other people just get totally
Yeah,
forgotten.
yeah.
And there's this tremendous variation from from mayor to mayor, to be sure,
Really?
and sometimes
Yeah.
from year to year. But one of the really things about a managed government is that
Yeah.
they just don't do that. They say where are the needs and what are the resources, and
I'm sure
and
there's
they-
people behind the scenes though that put words in.
Yeah, but if you actually look at the way the budgets move, it's a real
certain-
steady ship.
True, yeah.
Give a lot of credit to Louis DePasquale.
Because it's not politicized, is what you're trying to say.
It's right. It's not just a matter of a greatest hits form of
Right.
government.
Okay.
I'm going to build you a skating rink and pave your streets this week.
Right, yeah.
Just to, get the votes. So, so anyway, so we'll get into some of those details.
Yeah,
in
because it was
a minute.
presented and then.
Yeah,
the
about
timeline,
some. Yeah, and so do that. So anyway, I guess we're going to wind down here
Yeah.
for this particular segment, and we'll be back in
See you
3
in a few
minutes
minutes.
with Cambridge Inside Out.